Tes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us all. Welcome to today's lecture, as hosted by the Faculty of Public Health, Universitas Airlangga. Thank you to everyone who has joined us through Zoom this afternoon. Welcome to today's guest lecture, and we would also like to extend our warm greetings to the distinguished academic leaders, the esteemed Dean and Vice Deans of Faculty of Public Health, respected lecturers, Dr. Mutmainah, and all students of FKM Universitas Airlangga. Thank you to everyone who has joined us through Zoom this afternoon. Before we begin, we kindly ask everyone to ensure the microphones are mute and the camera is on. As we start our event, we will first have the playing of the Indonesia Raya and Airlangga hymn. Please prepare yourself as we play the video. Indonesia tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sanalah ku berdiri, jadi pandu hidupku. thank you very much. And next, we would like to invite the Vice Dean 1 of the Faculty of Public Health, Professor Ira Nurmala, Bachelor of Public Health, Master of Public Health, PhD, to deliver her welcome remarks. To Professor Ira, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Adam. You're as a MC today, our moderator. Yeah, so thank you, Adam, for your kind words. So hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I would like to extend my gratitude to Prof. Salut Muhyiddin. We already met several times ago in Sydney, Australia. It is really our pleasure. You are finally able to speak to our students today. And dear students, please use this opportunity to engage with actively discussion with Prof. Salut, because he is one of the amazing scientists, amazing academia, Indonesian person who already has some career, established life in Australia. You need to learn a lot today in this guest lecture with Prof. Salut, and that because he already has a lot of experience. And today, Prof. Salut will share about one of the experience in one of the places in Indonesia, I believe, in your previous research. So please use this opportunity to learn a lot, okay? And also, Prof. Salut, thank you for willing to share some of your knowledge with our students. And I guess this is the Bachelor Student of Public Health. In our bachelor's program, we learn a lot about how to do preventive and promotive effort in public health. So we have a high expectation that there will be a lively discussion from our students. If not, you can actually ask them to ignite some of the discussion later on. Okay, but thank you for attending this guest lecture. We will continue this collaboration, not only doing guest lecture, but we also going to do some research collaboration together, hopefully, and hopefully we can exchange staff and student mobility. So for students who wants to go to Australia, you should learn a lot from today's lecture, and also don't worry to ask a question if you not have confidence in speak in bahasa Inggris. I think Adam will help ya, Adam ya, to translate in bahasa Indonesia. Or Pak Salut maybe can actually answer in bahasa Indonesia. But anyway, let's make this time a fruitful time to learn both ways, how to become an excellent academia maybe in Australia, and how to do research in Indonesia, and about the content itself. Okay, thank you. Maybe that is from me. Thank you, Adam, for this opportunity. Thank you, Pak Prof. Salut, for giving lecture today. Thank you, and have a great lecture, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ira, for your valuable remarks. Well, I would like to say hello to all of the academic students from Universitas Airlangga and Macquarie University. Thank you for joining us today to have guest lecture with Dr. Salahuddin. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming and share with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. My name is Adam Sutan, and I will be guiding today's session. And today, we are honored to have Dr. Salahuddin Muhyiddin, who will deliver a presentation on the topic Advocate Program for Healthy Traditional Houses, Ume Kbubu, in Timor community, preserving traditional behavior and promoting improved health outcomes. Okay, but before that, I would like to read Dr. Salahuddin resume. Okay, Dr. Salut Muhyiddin is a senior lecturer in demography at Macquarie Business School. He earned his PhD in applied demography from the University of Groningen, the Netherlands, and has held international research roles at Brown University, Université de Montréal, IIASA in Austria and the University of Indonesia. Well, his achievement is to provide 6 PhD and 2 master students to completion. Current supervision is 1 PhD and 1 master. And his key capabilities, one of those is the renowned applied demographer with over 20 years research experience on regional socio-economic development in Asia, especially Indonesia and Southeast Asian, Australia, and also West Africa. Well, this is so impressive from the Dr. Salahuddin. Well, this session will consist of the presentation followed by a discussion and Q&A, Doctor, for approximately 120 minutes. Well, without further delay, I would like to invite all of the students here to turn their cameras on because we're going to have a documentation first. Please, all of the participants can turn their cameras on. Okay, some of you have already turned the camera, but rest of you is still turn it off. Please turn your cameras off, ladies and gentlemen, so we can see your face and we can do documentation. Okay, I will guiding this documentation. Prepare yourself in 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again. 3, 2, 1. Next slide. 3, 2, 1. Once again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much for all of the participants. So now, without any further delay, we would like to invite Dr. Salahuddin to begin the presentation. Dr. Salahuddin, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So good afternoon, everyone. Here in Sydney, around 6 p.m. But because of the summertime, we still kind of like very bright one. First of all, thank you very much, Ibu Dr. Mutmaina, Professor Ira, and also other colleagues, and all the academicians from UNER, in particular Faculty of Public Health, also students, the bachelor program from the FKM. Yes, I'm happy to be asked in Indonesia or English or in Japanese if you also want to do that one. Anyway, please allow me to share my slide. Where's that one? Okay, anyone see here? Okay. I'm really kind of like very honored to accept this one. So I'm not so sure how many guest lecture already been conducted, but I'm happy to be part of this program. And maybe someday I can see you directly, not by using Zoom, but kind of like in person. So today I'm also going to kind of like sharing, and actually one of my co-authors in this particular one, Ibu Rahmalina Prasojo from BRIN. Also, thank you, Bu Ina, for joining with this program as well. So when I have conversation with Dr. Mutmaina about this guest lecture, I offer two type of the experience that I want to share. One is about more about the community engagement. The other one is more about communication in terms of policy. Because of this particular guest lecture in terms of Division of Health Promotion and Behavioral Science, so I've been thinking that why not kind of like sharing this one. Even this one kind of like been a while, but still I think the relevance as well as the application can be done anytime. Okay, So it is about the advocate program from the Ministry of Health at that moment, where Ibu Ina and also others colleagues from Litbang Kesehatan was really involved in terms of making an initiative implementation program, how to kind of like advocate about the healthy behavior. So I was so kind of like fortunate to have opportunity to help them kind of like making into kind of like more structure of in terms of paper presentation, but also kind of like investigating the result and so on. So this is basically some of the part of the presentation I'm going to do. So before that one, I would like to introduce Macquarie University. Not so sure my student as well as other students from UNER has known about Macquarie University. So Macquarie University is one of the public university in Australia located in Sydney. I know that Professor Ira, Mutmaina, and other colleague has been here. So even we have made some TikTok program in terms of like in the Opera House, right? So we do have the main campus a little bit in the center, which is North Sydney. Other one is kind of like in Sydney, in the city one. So it's about like half an hour by train from the city, not really far away. So if anyone who's coming pass over or stop over in Sydney area, you're welcome just to contact me. If we can like having good opportunity, you are welcome to visit Macquarie University as well. Okay. Let me ask Adam first. So how many minutes for my presentation, Adam? I know that this is about 2 hours, but can I have like 45, 50 minutes and then we can have more discussion, right?
Correct, doctor.
Okay, nice. So I would like to discuss this item. So I'm going to give you some background introduction idea, what I'm going to do about this one. And then I'm going to focus before to the case study about the traditional house of Ume Kbubu. Ume mean house. Kbubu mean a circle. So you can see that the pictures, that's kind of like the Ume Kbubu, rumah bulat, house, circle house, or kind of like something like that, where before the intervention and then after intervention. Someone will say like, well, it doesn't look different. Well, you never know. So we investigate that one, and then it has kind of like quite big significant difference. So first, we are going to touch about why behavior change matters. Okay, we are going to touch about some theoretical concept like health determinant issue, behavior change, and habit loops. But also, because of now, even I'm from applied demography, they put me into the faculty of business, so School of Business one. So in here, all kind of like the concept of business has been applied, including applied demography is been applied into the business one. So I would like to kind of like share some additional different perspective where health promotions, like in particular, about promotion of behavior change or being program. And then in this one is basically how to change your not really kind of like proper yet in terms of health, and then changing their behavior into kind of like more healthy behavior. Okay. Then we focus in terms of case study of traditional house Ume Kbubu, and then we continue with some discussion and answer. Okay. So I'm sure that in public health departments or faculty, you talk about that. Yes, everyone agree that in order to kind of like make community or make people healthy, it's not enough on one way. Medicine maybe yes can help them to be healthy, but it's not the single answer, right? So that's why has been supported by a lot of studies based on a lot of report based on a lot of findings that combination, not only in terms of clinical service, but also more involvement of community, significantly improve the public health outcome. Franz Ward, for example, talking about the level of community. Whereas the community engagement very low, it is kind of like not really going to significantly impact. But the higher community engagement or involvement is kind of like making that the result also very significant. So in that way, then what about the behavior change? So behavior, including behavior, is also shaped by social norm, physical environment. So it's the same thing with the health one. It's not single determinant. They've been influenced by so many things, including the social, physical, and so on. Okay. So therefore, it is not really going to be I will say that we can argue as well that the health challenge in any community, including in Indonesia, must also be addressed through community engagement. It means all stakeholders be involved, right? So if health is socially determinant, so improving health requires also shifting social practice and daily habit within community. So I hope that everyone agree with that one. If you disagree with that, and then let me know. So in particular for this presentation, I'm going to use the Ume Kbubu case or Rumah Bulat case to demonstrate how modifying traditional living environments and their behavior can advance healthier community practice. So some concept that I'm going to use, as I mentioned before, is about determinant, in particular social determinants, and then theory of change, social ecological model that I'm going to highlight more, and then the habit loop. Okay. The first question that we have to ask part of the kind of like health promotion, we would like to change from not really healthy or maybe medium healthy to be much more healthier behavior, right? So because what happened is that many health problems are behavior driven. Name it one. Say like addicted into the mobile phone using over time, the addiction of smoking behavior, uh, addiction to a lot of things. So it's mostly kind of like because of the behavior driven, right? So like smoking, unsafe cooking, poor hygienics. So in order to do that one, so in preventing this behavior can reduce the disease like that one and also save our life. So again, I would like to highlight that medical solution only work if people use them, right? But if not being used, it's not going to be effective. The same thing with the behavior. So behavior are shaped by social as well as physical environments. So including with the norm, tradition, daily routines, and the condition in the environment, strongly influence of health practice. Okay. So, but then the question is that once we change that behavior, can it sustain or not? So we want to make sure that in order to get effective one, the sustainable health environment need to become like part of the habits. So it has to become like long-lasting change. So when healthier practice become part of everyday life, okay. So that's why the behavior change matters in terms of public health. I think most of you, because of you are in public health, you know it already, the concept of determinant of health. I just want to highlight again about uh, the health, either individual or publicly, as a population public health one, it is determined by not only single one. According to a lot of theories, including from the Australian application here, it is determined by at least three things. One is social determinants. The second one is biomedical risk factor, and then the third one is behavior risk factor, where each of them is kind of like impact each other one, right? So over that once, we also know that the general background of others, not only in terms of social, not in terms of health behavior, biomedical factor, but also other kind of like general background, including your culture, your social cohesion, your where do you live, as well as the environment that's really kind of like influence or determine your health. That's kind of like influence each other one. I give you an example. A lot of studies in Australian context where the living environment also does have big impact to that one. For example, here is the famous kind of like the infographic from the similar with the Minister of Health one. They said about If you live kind of like a walkable neighborhood area where they have park, they have a lot of open space, the likely they want to kind of like more active is 2 times more likely to be active one. The same thing is people who live near the trail, they are 50% more likely to meet physical activity guidelines. Those who kind of like live in the poor or mostly minority neighborhood are 50% less likely to have a recreational facility near home. Okay, so it's again showing that individual and public health are determined by a lot of things, including the living environment. So that's why if a community is safe, well-maintained, and has apparent scenery, children and family also more likely to be more active and healthy. The second concept that I would like to kind of like also emphasize here is about theory of change. We talk about, yes, everything needs to change from the unhealthy behavior to be more healthy behavior. Theory of change quite a lot, including diffusion theories, but I would like to highlight in particular is the SAM, social ecological model, where this concept highlight about how behavior is shaped by interconnected factors across multiple levels, where it's kind of like follow up from what we call about this determinant of health, right? So first one, determinant of health, we said that's a lot of factors. The social ecological model, the same things that your behavior is basically interaction among a lot of things, including individual behavior, family behavior, community behavior, institution, as well as public policy. So in this one, is Sam recognized that people do not act in isolation, but their actions, including their behavior, are influenced by the social and physical environment around them. So in short, the sociological model explains behavior change by addressing this multiple level of influence. I give you one example. This is from the publication from BMC about how they try to kind of like using social ecology model implementation in diabetes structure education program. So what happened was kind of like they have a different strategy in terms of public policy, for example. They try to influence local guidelines, okay, in order to kind of like influence the about the diabetes care, about the integrated dedicated diabetes service, and so on. But then they also have kind of like a targeting different strategy for individual or interpersonal, like influence of culture belief and value about diabetes treatment. People who thinks about diabetes kind of like very big issue one will behave differently for those who are thinking like it doesn't really matter or it's kind of like very less significant, right? So about the culture belief, social network, family, uh, partner, and also financial constraint, that's going to be very significantly different when we look at that one. Now, the third one. Okay, so the first one, we have different kind of like determinants. And then we know that in terms of application, everyone is kind of like interaction with others. But the question is that when it's become the habits, do you think they're going to stay there? Not necessarily, because the habits, something that kind of like automatically, so the habit is basically that's already part of your daily routine, right? So without any knowing that, usually like you just take it. For example, these days with the technology, internet, and so on, every time we go to the public transportation and so on, everyone can like looking at that mobile phone. That's everyone become habit one, right? So actually, habit also have a loop that need to be kind of like modified or strategically changed when you want to change the habit. So initially, Charles Duhigg, the authors about the what do you call it, the book of the power of habits, talking about the three type thing. So it starts with a cue, like the triggers that initiate the habits, and then with routines, it could be starting with craving and response, the action that kind of like responding to the cue or the trigger one, and then there is kind of like a feeling or it's kind of like a what do you call it, benefit you things that going to kind of like having one. I give you an example. Like mobile phone. Okay, so every time it's like even like it is quite common these days when there is an advertisement talking about the very significant influence of habit of using mobile phone before sleeping or even after sleeping. You just kind of like automatically want to touch that one, right? The cue is, or the trigger is basically just either notification, or it's kind of like you really want to see that one, and then you feel craving that if I don't want to open it, I may miss some kind of like important one, or I miss kind of like the new trending somewhere that they're talking about either entertainment, either kind of like very important message, and so on. So the response is basically you try to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, right? Until you feel like you feeling that you got a reward. Say like before you didn't know anything, and then now you know it. Or at least you're not being FOMO, or fear of missing out. So it's kind of feeling kind of like you're not going to missing out. So that's become like a habit loop one. So the question is that how do we change in terms of health promotion that? Okay. So moving from the old habit into the new habit also need to kind of like to crack down somewhere. A lot of studies says that what you need to crack down is in terms of the process of the crafting and response. Okay, so that's need in that way. You need to kind of like having some plan. Yes, the cue or the trigger is always there, but the question is that how do you respond it? That's kind of like the idea. Okay, so for example here, crafting about more about sweet things. Yes, everyone likes something sweet like cake and so on, right? But too much cake, the sweet things, or donuts and so on, is also make your become for diabetic people that's going to be very dangerous. But then, how do we change become like every time you feel hungry or you're craving something, why don't you change with the just glass of water or bottle of water one? Okay, so that's kind of like starting to become part of your habit. Okay, so in that way, it needs to become like more sustained, and then more kind of like become more kind of like your daily routine. Okay. So that is basically the three conceptual that is going to be hearing again and again when I'm explaining about the intervention from the what do you call it, the Ume Kbubu Rumah Bulat One. And now, as I mentioned that I'm now teaching at the Makeaway Business School, where a lot of interaction with the marketing department, with management department, and so on. I noticed that one of the particular element in the marketing is about promotion as well, right? So one of the strategy of promotion is basically to change the behavior. Okay, but then how do we link that kind of like concept with our lecture today, or with this session today? So there is so-called social marketing. Okay, so social marketing is basically talking about voluntary behavior, which is kind of like driven through social marketing, applying marketing principles to influence behavior that benefit not only individual but also the communities. For example, improving health, improving about the safety environment, and then how to kind of like taking care of environment. That's part of including in terms of social marketing is one. So if you look at that against, it kind of like basically the same tone, the same idea with social ecological model, but also in terms of the habit loops. They're addressing the behavior at multiple level, not only individual, but also community and then policy. And also it is kind of like try to changing behavior into become the habit one, which is kind of like redesign about the environments, the cue or the triggers, and then the reward system to support the healthier habits. So that's basically I would like to introduce social marketing. So the question is that how is different with the commercial marketing? There are some similarities, but also some differences when you talk about commercial marketing, marketing in general, and then social marketing. Yes, the same kind of like focus in terms of customer orientation. This one is population or public health one. They're also involving about exchange theory, marketing research, segmentation, and then could be used 4P. In marketing, it's very famous so-called 4P. The product, price, place, and promotion. but there are difference between commercial marketing and social marketing. The same concept for P, but completely different. The first P, for example, product. In commercial, product is about the goods, the service, experience, so on. In the social marketing, it's more about behavior change, like increase about individual well-being, make it better health, and so on. So some also about the social and commercial marketing difference one in terms of before I said about the product and then behavior. The commercial is more thinking about whether you get gain capital, more kind of like benefit and so on. But in terms of social, it's about social gain to make it better off of the social. And then for the commercial, it's talking about competition. Everyone has become like your rival. You're kind of like competitors. But in terms of social, they would like to kind of like working together and so on. Okay, there is a raise hand. Adam, shall we ask first or better put toward at the end? I'm happy to take that one. Yes, anyone? I saw there's a raise hand from Ika. Anyone who raised hand, can you ask what do you want?
Is anyone wanna ask? Is it discussion already?
Not
You
yet,
wanna
but I
continue
saw
first?
someone raise their
Oh,
hand.
maybe yeah, maybe incidentally. So I think you can continue, Prof.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, so we talk about the concept and then social marketing in terms of that one. And now focus on the case study of Ume Kbubu. So again, Mbak Ina, if you would like to jump directly, adding some ideas, you are welcome to do so. But first of all, I really want to kind of like highlight again, this is kind of like, I think one of the first collaboration that I did together with Mbak Ina and the colleague from, at that time, Brin wasn't kind of like putting all the lead banks, mostly Litbang Kesehatan, which is kind of like the R&D of the Minister of Health. They're working as that one, including with Pak Anwar, Jericho, and our colleague Maria Silalahi as well. So this is talking about the advocate program for healthy traditional house, Ume Kbubu, Rumah Bulat in not East Timor, but West Timor community. Okay. So this is the one that you saw it before. So this is kind of like traditionally housings. You can see completely, what you can see here is basically one is completely, there is no ventilation at all, right? So the other one has kind of like, yeah, still kind of like entrance a little bit higher. And there is also some kind of like windows, even still small, but it makes significantly difference in terms of the indoor air pollution. Uh, According to Mbak Ina, correct me if I'm wrong, Mbak Ina, you anyone who not used to kind of like with that one, imagine that you burn kind of like the fire inside the house without any ventilation. The first thing that you can imagine is smoking, right? So anyone who's not used to it kind of like having smoke inside that one and left alone about the stay there for a couple of seconds or even 1 minute or 2 minutes one, you will cry. You will kind of like having very itchy or you can like your eyes going to be tearing because of this kind of like smoke one. And imagine that living in that one for women in particular who just giving birth and then her newborn baby for 40 days. Okay, let's see what's happening. So the idea of this paper is basically based on the research that has been conducted by the lead bankers. And then we know that Indonesia has kind of like multiple ethnics, over 300,000 ethnics. Okay. And then we know that a lot of the ethnicities, they kind of like very kind of like strong and still kind of like keeping their tradition, including this East Timor, East Nusa Tenggara Timor community. One of the tradition that they use is basically the first 40 days. Once the mother gave birth to the newborn baby, uh, the perception of the community is basically after you give birth, you feel kind of like you lost blood and so on, right? So your body is become like cold. So what happened is basically logically when the body is very cold one, you need to get warm, right? So warm in terms of traditional concept is basically you need to kind of like having fire or kind of like smoking that one. But in order to do that one, you need to become like secluded or separated from others because maybe others know it because they're still in the normal temperatures while the body of the mothers and the baby still kind of like cold one. So then, not so sure how long it's been that one. So they put the mother and the baby into that traditional house where not any ventilation, and then putting kind of like a fire pit on the bottom one. So imagine that you were there. There is a wooden bed, and then underneath you kind of like putting some burning coal or some kind of like wooden one, and then it's starting to kind of like give smoke, right? Of course, this is kind of like giving the warm one because the idea of not having ventilation is basically to keep the warm inside the house one to make that uh, what is ari-ari in English? I forgot even now. So it's make it a little bit dry, and then so it's kind of like basically to help the mother getting back the energy. So that's the idea. The concept is very kind of like good one, but in a way, in terms of the implementation or in terms of application, is completely further from the healthy behavior. When we prepared this one, I thought this is kind of like only unique Indonesia, but not necessarily. In the ASEAN context, like in Thailand, in Vietnam, in some Philippine area, even in Africa and in other places, one they also did the same thing. But it varies not only about 40 days, sometimes only like 7 days or 30 days. But the same concept they had, they think that the mother who gave birth is kind of like in the kind of like very cold situation, need kind of like warming. So postnatal warming practice also exists in a lot of contexts, not only in Indonesian context. So because of this kind of like Ume Kbubu or rumah bulat has poor ventilation and limited lighting, there is no kind of like very lighting you can imagine. The smoke ritual creates a high level of indoor air pollution. Uh, I forgot to put the exact level, but when we put that one in the paper, we kind of like comparing about the allowable from standard of WHO, how much kind of like the level of carbon, the level of some the good indicator of the good indoor air pollution. You can imagine that's kind of like not even like triple, sometimes even 5 times or 10 times higher than what's kind of like the standard is allowable that one. So you can imagine. So it's kind of like the influence of that one is serious health risks, in particular respiratory and pulmonary problem of mother and newborns. Even based on the data that we had from previous studies, one, so a lot of children who were having this kind of like experience after they become like in the childhood or even in the adulthood, their respiratory is become like a worse because of that's kind of like starting with kind of like very not really healthy behavior in the first one. Okay, so that's kind of like this case study highlight the issue and advocate how toward behavior change toward healthier traditional practice. Because we know that the strong traditional practice, we don't want to say like, no, you can't do that one. How do you feel? Like if you intervene to some places saying that, okay, no more this practice one, you will be kind of like that one, right? So you can't say that one directly. So what you can need, you only need to do is basically try to influence, try to convince them that it's like, yes, this traditional idea, like making body warm and so on, is good one, but to make that behavior a little bit change, that's kind of like good way. That's kind of like already win-win for you. Okay. So what they did from the Ministry of Health is basically to do the study. So there are two stages. One, the first one is trying to understand what the real happening there. So identification of the issues. After identification of the issues, they list all kind of like what can be done in terms of changing that behavior into much more better off. So that's why this after the first stage one, it got into the stage two. So the result from that one is basically the idea: can we change, renovate, or at least kind of like changing a little bit this Ume Kbubu need to be repaired to become healthier Ume Kbubu, because we want to kind of like keeping that, okay, you're still practicing that, but at least there are some ventilation because of the level of air pollution is really, really kind of like a worst one. It's kind of like above the allowable standard that been according to the guideline from WHO. So in the second stage, there is kind of like intervention and evaluation. Okay, so because of a lot of from the sociology, anthropology, including Mbak Ina, they would like to design in terms of social behavior change intervention. So in order to do that one, they cannot do alone, because can you imagine that outsider and then come over there and telling everyone that we will know the first one. So what happened is they involve all the stakeholders, including the leaders, the communities, as well as the health provider over there, to think about what is the best way to do it, right? And then there are some evaluation what have been done. So there are to make it kind of like very detailed. You are welcome to read the paper that we have. That I just want to summary what our finding here one. So what happened is basically the CI tradition, or smoking. If you were in Kupang or somewhere else, you may have heard about the sei, daging sei, right? So sei basically you make it a smoke, like a salmon smoke, beet smoke, and so on. So in this one, it's kind of like sei for the making human being to make it warm, right? So the sei tradition or the smoker tradition is highly valued by the Timor community, but this culture tradition poses health risks if you did it to the mother and the newborn one, in particular if it is like 40 days. So accordingly, what happened is the family and community have been encouraged to raise their consciousness about this risk. So they keep kind of like saying socialization about the campaign of promotion of health, talking about, hey, look, someone who did it this one, and someone kind of like to compare between what happened after their childhood and then when they adulthood, look at their respiratory health issues one, especially related with respiratory infections and then burn wounds. Because of this is kind of like, Baina, you can tell about your story, right? If I want to repeat about, isn't it correct that when you were there inside, even only a couple of seconds, your nose is getting dark, right? Because of that smoke one. And then can you imagine if those women and the children lying there on the kind of like that one is more kind of like burn wounds, and the mortality getting higher, right? The rate one. So at the same time, alternative healthy traditional behavior has been also introduced. So what happened is basically they try to encourage anyone who want to do voluntary to do the changing one. So they changed from 40 days to negotiate. Yes, we can do still that one. Can we reduce that into how many days? And then a good thing was one or two families, which is kind of like the still relative from the leaders, would like to do voluntary. And then they were I think they were accepted to do it not 40 days, but only 4 days in the new house one, where the Ume Kbubu has some ventilation, enough lighting a little bit because of the windows already there, and then the door entrance is also getting higher. So the air pollution is kind of like reduced, so it's kind of like more to close to the standard. Even still kind of that one, but it's that one. So at the end, it's kind of like basically community support that's kind of like helping why this intervention little bit working in the community. Families now use kind of like more improved healthy traditional house Ume Kbubu with better ventilation and lighting to reduce indoor air pollution. So this is kind of like some pictures. This is kind of like the way they're trying to imagine. This is kind of like the mothers and then the newborns. And then the bottom one is kind of like a lot of wooden. They burn it until it become the ash because of 40 days. It has to become like uh, lightning every night one. So, and then, so in order to make the people aware, we tell them about the impact to these children, impact to the mother, impact to environment, and so on. Not only during that program, but also during like after become adulthood and so on and so on. So this is kind of basically some socialization about the campaigning about to understand about the impact of that kind of like behavior, and then try to kind of like negotiate with them how to make it even become a better one. So as you mentioned before, kind of like Ume Kbubu is because only kind of like no ventilation. But this one, a lot of kind of like community would like to participate. Of course, not everyone would like to come, but majority agree that they would like to see. The problem was when being asked about the volunteer who want to do it, not many people want to do it. Only kind of like few kind of like they agree want to try that one. That's why in the first one it's really kind of like for them it's kind of like seeing is believing. They're not really so sure if it is kind of like working or not until they see exactly what happening. So this is actually the Ume Kbubu that finally. So there is kind of like higher little bit entrance. In the past, it's kind of like almost like you when you enter to the Ume Kbubu, you need to kind of like kneeling down because of very lower. And then there isn't any ventilation like windows and so on. So where it's kind of like the light is not going to happen. And then also the material is not from the what do you call it? From the cement. That's mostly from the wood as well as the uh, from the coconut tree type one. So even inside is a little bit higher, and then there is kind of like some places to do that one. So to sum up, what the lesson learned that we have here. The first one, I would like to say that effective communication. This is kind of like basically where your discipline about public health promotion, communication need to be effective can only be resulted by a combination of co-creation, involvement all the stakeholders, not only coming from the top down, more kind of like also bottom up communication, but also the trust and role model or example. We will say that leadership endorsement is also very kind of like significant because when there is no kind of like endorsement from the leaders, you can say that not many people would like to do it. But once the leaders say like, yes, okay, we tried this together, so it's kind of like accelerated of the changing behavior one. The other one is, as I mentioned, behavior change requires seeing is believing, not just hearing propagandas like or socialization and so on. They would like to see, actually sample. People are more likely to change when they observe real life demonstration or visible outcome rather than just hearing about this is the promising and in the campaign and so on. So on important of contextual, culturally attuned strategy, but also importance. Again, we cannot simply just ask them to stop, but we need to kind of like negotiate in terms of that one. So intervention must fit local belief, the tradition, and also daily realities. Otherwise, community may reject or ignore them. Important one of social proof and experiential learning. People tend to follow what they see others doing, and then they learn best through hand-on experience that allow them to try, observe, and understand new behavior. So the implication of what happened after that one is it's quite significant to the district health department, but also to the Ministry of Health and to the local government. So they learn about what's happening there. So they now kind of like implementing not only accepting about the local wisdom, but also the local practice. So yes, from the policy they have, they would like to kind of like reduce mortality rate and mortality mothers and newborn baby, but also the way they do it, they cannot just kind of like putting general implementation in everywhere. So they can like adjust it to the local one. Among community itself, they get benefit for understanding better about this kind of like community empowerment program to the effect, the impact of this kind of like the tradition of smoking, CE, and then also the media has been widely used to process of community empowerment, including the pamphlet, the uh, musrembang, as well as the community engagement and so on. Okay. So I think that's all. So please check our publication. This is my reference. And then some others concept has been put there. I think that's very much, unless I would like to invite Ibu Rahmalina, if you want to add something more, Ibu Rahmalina.
No, thank you, Pak Sarut. Pak Salut, thank you very much.
Okay.
The floor is yours. It's okay. Thank you very much, Pak Salut.
No worries. Thank you, Adam. I will give it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salahuddin, for the explanation. And Dr. Salahuddin has explained about Ume Kbubu or Rumah Bulat, which is a living place for people in Timor community, and also the correlation with the socio and ecological. Also highlight about the ventilation from the building, and also the material and the proportion of the building. Thank you very much, Dr. Salahuddin. And I would like to ask the participant who has the question for this presentation. So please to raise your hand, or maybe you can write your question in the Zoom chat. Any question from the participant?
Don't worry, Indonesia or English, fine.
Okay, you can ask in English or maybe in Bahasa.
If there is no question, may I ask, like, I know that health determinant has been discussed in your class, maybe, right? Has anyone already know or heard about social marketing concept?
We have learned about the socio-ecological model in 5th semester, Doctor.
Yeah.
500.000 buat yang
What about social marketing? Have anyone social marketing? Have you heard or applied that? Or?
Okay, maybe if there is no question at the moment, allow me to begin with a few questions to spark the discussion, Doctor. So my question would be, could this advocacy model be replicated in other traditional houses in Indonesia, not only in Ume Kbubu or maybe in other houses with the same structure maybe? Is there can replicated in other houses building?
Okay. Thank you, Adam, for starting discussion. Yes and no. Yes, basically in terms of the principle, yes. The same things like we need to start with identification, the issue first. We cannot just basically come up with some solution unless we already understand. Okay, so that's my answer. Yes, we can replicate the same concept here. No, if the context is different. Okay, for example, we were lucky that we could negotiate with the community to changing from 40 days into 4 days, for example. Can you imagine in other contexts that's kind of like negotiation also going to happen? Okay, in particular in the place maybe where the main voice is coming from the elders or from the leaders itself. So as much as the community would like to change, but then if the leaders may say disapprove that kind of implementation, you will be not going to succeed, right? So that's why I said yes and no. Yes, the same concept we can do it. So identification, and then we give some solution. That in terms of solution, that could be completely different from one context to different context, depends on the situation. But the same way you can do it, campaigns about the health behavior, changing behavior, and so on. But other things, like I mentioned about the social determinants and ecological one, it could be, for example, individual and community fine, but then the policy not going to kind of like influence. Then you are not going to do that one. I hope that's kind of like answer, right?
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Well, to the participant, have you guys already have a question? Okay, well, if there is no question, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your active participation in today's session. On behalf of the Faculty of Public Health, Universitas Airlangga, we express our deepest appreciation to Dr. Salahuddin Muhyiddin for the excellent presentation and to all participants for joining this session. We will now proceed to do a documentation for once again, so please turn on your camera.
Ini beneran nih, ada yang tanya. Teman-teman, halo. Suara saya sampai nggak? Kedengeran nggak di Adam?
Yeah, dengar Bu.
Iya. Maaf ya Pak Salut. Baru
It's
bisa.
okay. Yeah.
Mas,
Looks
apa
like
istilahnya
everyone
ada-
understand very well.
Ya,
Okay,
pada sibuk
let me
semua nih.
count. 3, 2, 1. Next slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next slide. 3, 2, 1. For the last one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much for all the participants who has joined today's guest lecture. I would like to say thank you once again for the Dr. Salahuddin, and we wish you
Terima
all
kasih
a
Pak
pleasant
Salut.
afternoon.
Thank you.
And okay, thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank
Waalaikumsalam.
you for all the participants.
Terima
Thank
kasih
you.
semuanya. Makasih banyak
See
Pak
you
Salut.
next
Sehat terus.
one.
See you next time. Thank you, Doctor.
Bye.
Terima kasih.